Okay, let's go back to the library that we have just included. Let's remove that comment here also. So let's back here. And this is basic C++ library, which allow us, as it says, right, for to input, which means putting something into our program, and output, which means putting something out of our program. Okay, now I will create something what is called a function. Okay, here we have function. And what is function? Function, as the name suggests, is something that is created to function, right? So this function, as we can see, is called like what? Like main. This function goal is to be invoked, executed always as first, always as main. This is a special function that needs to be created in every program. Here we have also parentheses, brackets, right? Which are hit here to declare parameters, but we'll talk about it later, not now. After it, we have two curly brackets. First, the opening one, and it is the beginning of our function, and the last curly bracket, closing one, and it is the end of our function. Okay, and that thing between that curly bracket is called the body of the function. Our program will start invoking instructions, orders from this function, starting from the opening curly bracket, and it will finish on the closing curly bracket. So I write instruction in the body of our function, cout less than signs, quote, this is test, and the semicolon. And that instruction is ordered for our PC, and it of course must be followed. Let's figure out what that instruction is doing. As we can see here, we have got something like cout. Cout stands for console output. Okay. And after it, we have two angle brackets, less than signs. As we can see, that signs are pointing to what direction? To the cout, right? To the console output. So it means that everything after that angle brackets will be sent to the console output. In our situation, it will be what? It will be the text inside quote signs. Quote signs are reserved for sequence of characters which are shortly called strings. So since now every text will be called by us strings. Okay, at the end of every instruction we have to add semicolons. And why is that so? Well, we can write programs also like that, for example. Let's do that way. For example, that way, right? Or we can write it another way. For example, we can do it. Let's remove it. That white characters. we can do it that way also. So it can be almost in one line, but here we have a comment, so it's not working. For example, I will remove that comment for a second. And as we can see, we can almost write everything in one line, right? And if we had more than one instruction, it would be hard for our compiler to decide what to do, right? Okay. And that semicolons at the end of instructions allows the compiler to interpret our programs always right. And as you have probably already noticed, white characters like space, tab, enters are not interpreted by compilators. It means we should write programs clearly, which means like that. Just look how do I write programs during all lessons and try to do it the same way. So your code will be easy to understand for you and other people. Our program still won't be able to run now because that cout thing is inside a namespace. What is namespace? Well, namespace is a space where we can store functions and other things connected with programming, and we can name this space. That's why it's called namespace. Because it's a space which has a name. Okay, namespaces are used in order to avoid situations where, for example, two programmers are going to make two programming elements with the same names. If you want to use the cout element, you have to say from which namespace is that element. So cout is from the std namespace, which stands for standard. Now we have to add two colons in order to use programming elements from that space. Now our program will be compiled. As you can see, it's working well. However, using that std namespace every second for each element like cout from that space might be a bit tiring, right? That's why we can say after including iostream something like using namespace std. Now we don't need to use that thing here. And our program, as you can see, is still working well. Okay, that's all in this lesson. All that informations here were total basics of C++ language. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on our board on the video-courses-online.com website. Thank you, everyone.